still getting loose, goose, running, off and running. Runnin Routes, back at you.
Let's go.
Charlie, got
Eddie,
Eddie. We're 2 men down. We're 2 men down, but we're still playing the game.
hit
That's why
me.
we got a deep roster.
Hit me.
We got a deep roster.
Let's go.
We are going to talking about bold takes. Every team in the NFL. We're going to go down the list. We're going to throw out some hot stuff. We're going to see if it tastes good, if it's
Oh, it's going to be a hell of a
let it
show, Beaver.
unfurl, see how it play out. Y'all give us your feedback. Let us know. Let us know if it was too spicy or if it was just right.
Was it too bold?
AFC. Let's start AFC East. Eddie, tell me what you got for the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills, I'm running Tremaine Edmonds leaving to go to the Chicago Bears for about a $70 million contract. He was a captain 4 seasons, 100-plus tackler all 5 seasons as a Buffalo Bill, and that, the hot take, shall be missed. Buffalo's going to miss that at middle linebacker. When you look at the linebacking crew, they're over there claiming they love what they got. You know, I understand you didn't want to spend 70 on Tremaine, but I think it's going to be a huge glaring hole for them this season to just say that you're going to replace 100 tackler. He's a tackling machine. I just think that's 100 tackles a season is good. You don't want to let that just
him
fall.
and Milano have been phenomenal as a tandem. So I can't say that you're wrong there, but that price tag,
I understand.
it's
They're in win
something
mode
that couldn't be
now.
swallowed.
They're in win mode now.
That being said, my bold prediction for the Buffalo Bills is they will not win the East for the first time in 3 years. I think somebody else is going to win it.
Whoa.
Maybe we'll find out here in the next couple of teams, but they're still going to make the playoffs. Still going to be massively dangerous when the playoffs come around because that team is still loaded with very nice talent. Very nice talent.
For sure.
But not the division winners in my eyes. Next team, Miami Dolphins. What you got?
Miami Dolphins
Sunshine.
acquired Jalen Ramsey to the Miami Dolphins, and he has a Pro Bowl season on the Miami Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey.
Lots of people are saying he's past his prime. That's a bold take. Pro Bowl, I like it. I like it a lot. That Nick Fangio defense, I think he's going to fit in great there. So I mean,
He's going to get rejuvenated.
To say that that's not a possibility being down there in the Sunshine State, I think he's in a great place. I think that's a massive get for the Dolphins, especially for a third rounder. Yeah, huge. Opposite Xavier Howard, damn near the best tandem, if not the best tandem in the NFL on paper.
With the
So I like
speed
that.
with Waddle and Hill.
My bold take: Dolphins win the division, AFC East. I think Tua's going to be able to navigate this season, stay healthy relative to some bumps and bruises that come with the nature of playing in the NFL. You had brought up to me about the classes that he's taken to try and take hits, get a little bit better at falling. May say funny or sound funny, when you say it out loud, but it's a big deal in that position. It really is. And Tom Brady made a living staying healthy, just being on the field. And we saw how much he meant to the Dolphins last year. He was playing at a Pro Bowl level to begin the year. And as soon as those concussions started to come, it took the wind completely out of the Dolphin sails. And seeing that roster, it's talented, it's fast, it's all the flashy words that you would want to say. So that will go to the next hot topic, which that was a hot topic, the whole off season, which is the Jets, Jets. What do you got for me?
Jets. All the hype right now is Aaron Rodgers, but I think what would be the biggest of the biggest bold takes would be a season-ending knee injury for a running back, Breece Hall. Breece Hall is going to be a Pro Bowl running back this season. He had 80 carries in 7 games, 5.8 yards per touch, 4 touchdowns. and 62 was his longest from scrimmage. And I just think that he's just going to bounce back from this injury, even though it's a very devastating one. That's what makes this such a bold take, is that a lot of guys take a whole season to recover from this injury, but I think he's going to do it in a couple of months, come back and ball out. Everybody's looking at Aaron Rodgers right now, but I think if they could use Brees and get back to a balanced attack, I think that helps the Jets incredibly moving forward. And so, inevitably going to help Aaron Rodgers get situated over there in New York.
If your bold prediction there does come true, then yeah, I think that's going to make Aaron Rodgers' life transition to New York, all that stuff, very, very much easier. My bold take on it is Jets don't make the playoffs. I know a lot of Jets fans not going to want to hear that. I think they're going to have a similar season to what they had last year, which they're going to be very competitive. They're going to be in games that it's not to diminish the Jets as much as it is this juicy, loaded baked potato of an AFC. It just got every friggin' flavor you could think of, and it's going to be tough to come out of the AFC.
Right.
Two teams that just sit in their little corner, in their nook in the AFC, I feel like are really good too, with the Bills and the Dolphins. So it's tough, but that's my bold take. Jets still don't make the playoffs, and I don't think it comes down to Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it comes down to one thing. It rarely does in the NFL, but I don't think they made the playoffs.
No doubt.
Last one of the division, the New England Patriots. Give me something hot on that.
Ramondre Stevenson has a Pro Bowl year coming off 1,040-yard rushing campaign, averaging 5 yards a touch with 5 touchdowns on a season. I think he has double-digit touches, and he ends up being a Pro Bowler this season.
No doubt. Love the kid. Love the kid 110%. My bold take for this is Belichick's last year. This is the swan song. Now, I don't think he'd ever come out and say, this is my last year at any point in time. But, you look around and it's just like, what kind of motivations is this guy going to have? He's getting up there in age. Tom Brady finally retired. I think that played into him sticking around a little bit, whether he'd admit it or not. You're not going to get shit out of the hoodie. But, you know, I don't think the Patriots are going to be very good this year. I do like your Ramondre Stevenson thing, and I think that 110% could come true. I love him. But the Patriots as a team, I feel like they're so far off, and that starts in the quarterback room. It starts with just the talent that's around them, and you can only do so much coaching to make a kind of talent devoid team good. And he's done a wonderful job, but I think he hangs it up after this season. Bouncing down or up to the AFC North, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Give me some you like there.
Let's go. Baltimore Ravens. Isaiah Likely ends up having a breakout season. He ends up being a 1,000-yard tight end receiver.
Ooh.
And it's like, everybody's like, they got Mark Andrews, there's no way, why would this happen? How could this happen? Last year he only got 373 yards that season, 36 receptions and 3 touchdowns, but Andrews was out. Andrews was definitely out a couple games last season. He had 113 targets, 847 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So I think likely this season he could end up being the guy, man. He could end up being the guy. Second year in the system, and you know how Lamar loves those tight ends, man. I think this could be his year. This very well could be his year, and that's what makes this a hot take, because Mark's the starter and he's the stud, bro. He's the guy right now, but youth wins it. This is a youthful sport.
I think the Ravens liked a lot of what they saw Likely last year. Like you said, with the Andrews missing those 3 games, Likely was a focal point, and obviously there was very limited options for whoever was quarterback in the Ravens down the stretch. I like that a lot. I love the kid out of Coastal Carolina, Likely. and it's going to be a crowded room. There's a lot more lot more seats at the table with signing Beckham, drafting Zay Flowers, and then you got Bateman coming back, and Andrews obviously is the stalwart there and has been. But yeah, there's room for likely, and that kind of plays into my take, which I got the Ravens making the AFC Championship game. That's
Wow.
pretty bold considering the way things ended last year and the off season with all the Lamar stuff. But I like lots of the moves that they've made, and that offense should be very explosive. I
Yeah.
look for Lamar to have a bounce back year, prove a lot of people wrong. And yeah, I got the Ravens going to the AFC Championship game.
Let's go.
That brings us to the past winners of this division, 2 years running now, which is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Let's go.
Tell me something about Cincinnati.
Cincinnati drafted Chase Brown out of Illinois. I think Chase Brown ends up being the leading rusher for the Cincinnati Bengals, even though they're a pass first team.
I like it. I like it. Mixon's missed time. And yeah, I mean that's the only thing that worries me is the amount of carries. But Chase Brown, love the kid coming out of Illinois. You put me on him back before back back
Yes.
before the draft and told me him. And yeah, I watched quite a bit of Illinois football last year as well, and he stood out. He stood out, and he can do it all. And I love the way he plays the game. It's an attacking style. He's very, I'm gonna say, reckless with his running style, but it is forceful. He can hit you with finesse, and he can hit you with just right in the mouth and run you over. Good hands out of the backfield. He's a do-it-all guy. We saw P. Ryan eat last year, so I don't think that's too far from being a reasonable prediction there. Mine for me is the Bengals struggle. They don't make the playoffs this year.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
hard to say, but again, the AFC is deep. It's
Wow.
so deep with contenders.
I agree.
And we'll see if they finally fix this offensive line issues. You went out and you spent even more money bringing in more pieces. You talked Jonah Williams into switching sides. On paper, that offensive line is looking pretty darn incredible, but I got to see it in action. I don't know if it's the coaching there when it comes to offensive lines or what it is, but
Yeah.
they have not been able to protect Joe Burrow. And it's only going to be a matter of time before he takes a shot that he's
Yeah.
out. And I don't want to see that because I love Joe Burrow, but they got to get that fixed. And they spent the
Yeah.
money to do it. We'll see how it all plays out,
Yeah.
but
Joe
that's
Cool's the
my
man, man.
he is. He really is. But that's my bold take. They missed the playoffs. Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns here. I got a guy who got traded from the New York Jets, went over there. We're looking at Elijah Moore, has a Pro Bowl season because he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder. Traded from the Jets to the Cleveland Browns. He wanted out of there. There was a little bit of turmoil, little thing. I need to be used this way. I'm a contributor. Let's go.
Another guy coming from the New York area to the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, let's see what happens. I think
Okay.
potentially he can show up and what is referred to as showing out, people. I think potentially he ends up showing up, and then because he's already here, you might as well just show the hell out.
That too plays into my bold prediction, which I think the Cleveland Browns make the playoffs this year. I think Deshaun Watson bounces back. Full season under the belt, full season removed from all the drama he went through. And Cleveland, it's a lot of talent there. They don't get the national exposure. I think they got tarnished a little bit with the whole Baker Mayfield drama and then the Deshaun Watson drama. But Nick Chubb eats all day long. Offensive lines are still studs. You helped out the receiving core, drafting Tillman. You had a couple of guys step up as well last year. Amari Cooper proved that he can still do it. And you really just need Deshaun Watson to get back to Deshaun Watson level, which I don't think, young kid, clear head, approach this season, clean slate. Defense, they got to get a little bit more out of, but I like Cleveland this year. So I got
Love
them making
Tillman.
the playoffs.
Love Tillman.
Yeah. No, I know
Huge
you're big on
Tillman fan.
Tillman. He's going to learn a lot from Amari Cooper. I think that's a great place for him to land. I know you wanted to see him in a blue and white jersey over there in New York, but that's a great place for him to land too. Last team in the North is the Pittsburgh Steelers. What you got for Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, I got year 2 in the offense. George Pickens, Pro Bowl receiver, over 1,000 yards this year. I mean, you could have picked anybody. Could have been Pickens this season. You could have went with anybody. I mean, you could have went with them drafting Washington, 6'7" tight end out of Georgia.
Sure.
Maybe this kid comes in running a 2-set and him and Freiermuth take off. You know what I mean? Well, Freiermuth already been taken off. But I mean,
Oh
the
yeah,
rookie comes
Farmer.
in and shows up and shows out. But I'm going George Pickens here. I mean, you could have went with anybody, but I'm going George Pickens. What do
No,
you
I
got?
love Pickens. He feels like a younger, faster T Higgins to me. Like kid is just athletic off the charts.
His
I
hands
think
are
he's
like
got the right kind of
flypaper.
mentality too. I had some reservations with him coming out of Georgia because I didn't know if he was going to have the right work ethic, but I think he got put in a perfect spot. And a lot of this stuff, is about being in the right spot at the right time. With Mike Tomlin, that team chemistry there is always high. So anybody they bring into the building, they're going to be forced to mesh in. And yeah, I like everything about that one. For me, it's Najee Harris. I think he bounces back. I think he makes the Pro Bowl this year. I think he has a very good season. Last year, injury bugs just couldn't get the engine started. But from the OTAs stuff I've seen from him, looks like bull in a china shop and just head down and just me against the world type of mentality. And the kid's uber talented. I think he makes the Pro Bowl this year.
Let's
Shout
go.
out to my brother Jude,
Let's go.
Pittsburgh. Um, AFC South. First team we got on the docket is the Houston Texans.
CJ Stroud's going to have a better season than Bryce Young. And
Ooh, okay.
I think this is classic because let's face it, Bryce is on a better team, arguably. I mean, maybe if you're not the
Hmm.
Texans, you're not saying that, but if you're the rest of the league, you're saying that. The Houston Texans have struggled last season. So did Carolina. Carolina on paper is a better squad. I don't know many people arguing that. So you would think that Bryce should have the better season. I'm gonna say because of the height, he's gonna struggle in the NFL, kind of like how Kyler Murray struggled in the NFL. And I just like CJ's size over Bryce, and I think because of that, just that simple factor, CJ has
Hmm.
a better season.
Mine's tied to CJ Stroud too. I think he wins Offensive Player of the Year.
Let's get it.
I like what they got going on there in Houston. Everything I've heard, which is a limited sample size, but from the Houston Texans themselves, the defensive backs, he's coming to the defensive backs. He's saying, "What are you seeing?" They've all been very complimentary of him, trying to pick their brains and get deeper in this. They classified it as being a very professional. Um, Approach, and I was high on CJ coming in, coming out of the draft. So none of that really surprises me. I do like his size as well, but his accuracy, his deep ball is just very, very nice. And I like D'Amico Ryan's taking over that team. By no means am I going to say CJ Stroud's going to be, a Pro Bowler this year, but I think he's going to put together some very good games. It's going to make you go, okay, that's the dude. They got their quarterback and they're moving in the right direction. So that's mine for Houston Texans. Last year's South winner, the Jacksonville Jaguars. What you got for that one?
This one's getting bold out here, people. I'm getting bold, people. Yeah, but I mean, that's the topic. I want to inform everybody that's the topic. Let's not forget what we're talking about here. Bold predictions. Gardner
Flaming,
Minshew's
flaming
the
hot Cheetos.
hitting you with the flaming hot Cheetos right now, crunched up in the bag here, getting a little Cheeto dust here. Gardner Minshew starts over Anthony Richardson.
Oh, you jumped to the Colts. Jags.
We're doing Jet. Jesus,
Go ahead, roll with it. We'll do the
horrible.
Colts first.
Oh, you want to do?
Gardner Minshew starts over Anthony Richardson and the Colts. Okay,
Yeah. Anthony Richardson, my fault. Anthony Richardson starts
all
over
good.
Somehow I got them one. I got them. I get them two switched. I don't know if that's alphabetical there. I don't know what we're doing. But yeah,
Clerical error.
I got Gardner Minshew starting over. Anthony Richardson hasn't played that many games to begin with in his entire life. So I just think that this is one of those opportunities that Gardner Minshew might
Very
end up
well.
edging this one out. And, there's some history there with the coaching staff to begin with. Giving Anthony Richardson time to sit and learn is not a bad thing by any means. And just because some guys go right out there and start, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't have sat. Just because they did start, you know, I mean, so, I think that Gardner Minshew starting is a very big possibility, but it's a huge bold prediction because if you're Indy, you're up there, you're taking that guy. It's for a reason. It's to start him. That's what makes this bold, baby.
That's
Minshew starts.
absolutely well said. Absolutely well said with the, knowing Minshew from the old team from Philly. And he's a guy that strikes me as someone who will help a young quarterback. I think he did a good job there with Jalen Hurts as well. And he's got a lot of talent. I mean, he's been a winner. He's been a winner in Jacksonville. The games he started there in Philly, he provided them with what they needed to keep their ship going while Jalen Hurts was out. I'm not mad at that at all. And given what you said, my bold prediction is the Colts find a way to push the Jags for the division. Now, I'm not going to go out as far as to say that they actually win it, but I think there's the distinct possibility, and I say that because of the game style that is going to be brought over and implemented from Philly into Indianapolis, which is going to be a very run first, very play good defense, and that's things that Indy already possesses. And the quarterback is just going to have to be a game manager for the most part. And given Richardson time, I agree with you 110%. He needs the time. He needs the reps and practice. He needs as much preparation and work that he can do before he's thrown out on that field. So I agree 110% with your prediction, honestly. Um, Going back to the Jags, the division winners
Jags.
last year, out of nowhere, because I don't think anybody expected that to happen. We expected the Jags to be a little better, but
Yeah,
hugely playoff W. What do you got for me this year?
coach year one, bringing them to the playoffs. I mean, that's crazy. That's what's up, man. Tank Bigsby ends up being the leading starter over there, the leading rusher for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um,
Auburn.
the Auburn running back Tank Bigsby ends up being the starter and leading the team in rushing.
I like it. We had talked about it kind of off the camera, watching them feed ETN in between the tackles, you almost hold your breath. Now, I had him in fantasy. I was definitely holding my breath because slight guy out in space, phenomenal. So, is it so hard for me to believe that you bring in a north south guy like Tanks Bigsby and you can timeshare that out with ETN to hit the edges? I like it a lot. I can see that happening because ETN, obviously, to be honest with you, is just as good catching the ball out of the backfield and turning a short pass into a deep run and effective at that as you handing the ball off to him. So Tanks Bigsby coming in and leading the Jags, I don't dislike it at all. Very plausible. Last team in the division, Tennessee Titans. They used to be on top one day ago. Not so much anymore.
I got Tennessee Titans. Will Levis ends up being the starter over Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis. Year
I like
two
that
guy.
one too. I like that one too. Levis comes in with a good deal of starting experience. So I think, and given what I watched from the Titans last year and even the previous seasons, and seeing how frustrated Mike Bravel was with Tannehill and Malik Willis last season, that would not surprise me. Like you had said, with grasping the playbook, as long as Levis can do that, I think you let him go out there and make some plays because he can make them with his legs just as much. No, he's not as gifted an athlete as Anthony Richardson as far as running the ball, but he's got the skill set, the same similar skill set as a Josh Allen type. I heard Mel Kiper bring that comparison up a lot. So, yeah, put him out there. You know the Titans are going to run the ball good. You know they're going to play good defense. So see what you've got in a kid. Why not? Because Tannehill's not it, and I'm pretty sure everybody in the building does not feel like Malik Willis is it. And no harm to that kid. I think that was just a little too quick for him. I think he needs some more time.
I
But
agree.
my bold prediction is also another rookie on the Titans. Tajay Spears is going to be the leading rusher for them this year. Tajay Spears out of Tulane. Um, it's not me wishing anything bad on Derrick Henry, but the time is a coming. And if the Titans aren't that good this year, I wouldn't be surprised to see a kind of a McCaffrey move on from him, maybe trade him in the middle of the season, or the tread finally kind of catches up. But this kid is an undeniable talent, and I think he's going to bring a lot of good things to the Titans offense, and particularly the run game. He can catch the ball in the backfield as well, and I think he ends up being the leading rusher for the Titans.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
AFC West,
Let's
where the
go.
Super Bowl champions rest. Give me something on the Denver
Denver
Broncos.
Broncos. How crazy is that? How crazy is their last season been? I mean, with the trading and then then that falling flat and an organization going, all right, well, we can't get rid of Russ, so it's got to be the coaching staff. So let's get rid of the coaching staff, try and get somebody else in here, and see what happens. You go for a incredible hire in Sean Payton. It's just an incredible move. I think that potentially Riley Moss starts at corner at number 2 slot, and Patrick Surtain starts at DB at number 1. I think the Iowa kid starts at corner for the Denver Broncos this season.
Kid's got great size, got great speed. I don't see why not. And that's a really good defense for you to even be considering a rookie to pop in like that wasn't drafted in the first round. I think it was like third or fourth round pick. And definitely not highly touted name that everybody knows. But you showed me some tape on him, and I liked everything that I saw. He's definitely got all the intangibles it's going to take. Can
Give
can
him a
he get up to
chance.
speed and get on the field that quickly? We'll see how it happens, but I
Give him a
like it.
chance.
I like that take. Mine is a team prediction, and that is that the Denver Broncos will make the playoffs for the first time since 2015. Strong AFC, and maybe tomorrow when I wake up and I say, "Man, I had the Cincinnati Bengals not making the playoffs, I had the New York Jets not making the playoffs, and I had the Denver Broncos making the playoffs," I might shake my head at myself, but today that is the bold prediction.
Let's
Denver
go.
Broncos make the playoffs.
Getting bold, baby.
Next one, Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champions. What do you got for them?
Well, I mean, this one's so bold because you think they traded for Kadarius Toney, they got rid of uh, McCall Hardman, ended up going over to the Jets. Is it? I think the
Yep.
Jets got him. And then they got rid of out. They got who else did they got? They picked up Kadarius Toney, but they drafted Rashid Rice out of SMU, and I think he's going to end up being the leading receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they still have my boy who's just an absolute wizard out there on the
Yes.
field, Travis Kelce, just whipping it up left and right. You don't even know where he's going to catch the ball next. You got 3 guys on him. You think he's covered. No, he's still catching the freaking ball. The guy's a beast, and you're like, Eddie, how could you choose a rookie wide receiver over him? But I just think that this kid's good, man. I think he's 6'1" frame. I think he's got some wheels on him. We're going to see. I think he ends up leading the Kansas City Chiefs in receiving yards.
I know one thing's for sure. Andy Reid's going to find a way and find out what he's good at, and he's going to give him a shot at it because that's just what Andy Reid does. So to say that that's so outlandish, no. I liked what I saw on film from the SMU kid. He does have some really good size to him. He's a physical, but he's still got speed to get deep. So I like that a lot. My only caveat to that is a guy by the name of DeAndre Hopkins is going around knocking on some doors, letting everybody know, hey, I'm back in the game, I'm available. I think that he is a great fit in Kansas City. But if that doesn't happen, then I do like what you said because it really could be anybody on a given day with Kansas City. So why not Rice? Um, Next one, Las Vegas Raiders. Take
Let
a
me tell you
roll at
something
the
about this
roulette
one.
wheel
Yeah.
and give me a bold prediction.
Yeah, we're getting bold. This one's crazy. Garoppolo plays all 17 games this season. Eddie, you're like, that's not bold. People do that every year, Eddie. What are you talking about?
God
That's
bless your soul for saying that one, Eddie.
that's not bold. That's just
Whew.
what you're supposed to do, right? Well, let me tell you something. He's only done it once in his career. I think coming off foot surgery, this will be the season he plays an entire season. This will be it. All
Well,
17 games. Maybe even make the
if
playoffs.
your prediction comes true, he might wish that he hadn't if mine comes true, which is I think the Raiders are going to be picking number one in next year's draft. I think they're going to have the worst record in the NFL next year. And that's saying
Whoa.
something because around the league, there are some teams that you look at and you're like, man, it's going to be hard for them to be good. But when I look at this Las Vegas Raiders team all the way head to toe, it's hard for me to find a lot of bright spots. And you're telling me Jimmy G is going to come over here and rekindle some former Patriot magic back there with the coach. I just don't see it. I really don't. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a tough season for Raider Nation. Last team in the division is the Chargers.
Let's
What do you
go.
got for the Chargers?
Chargers lead the league in passing yards.
Okay, okay. Justin Herbert, does he get to 5,000? You think? I think he's
Yes.
capable. I think that
Yes.
offense is capable.
Yes.
Um, you got the OC coming over from Dallas, who's been top five since he was an OC over there at Dallas as far as team finishing in the offensive categories. You look at the Chargers and the talent is everywhere. I mean, you can close your eyes and you can still see the talent out of the through the cracks. So I mean, yes. My bold prediction though is they're still floppers, man. Maybe they sneak in the back door of the playoffs, but ultimately they're going to let everybody down because it's just what they do. And I don't know why. I don't know why. You can point, well, he's got injury history, or, well, their defense isn't good enough. There's no good reason that the talent pool on the Chargers team and has been more than good enough, more than ready, and you have a stud young quarterback in Justin Herbert. There's no reason. This has got to fall on the coaching staff. It's got to fall in the schematics and in the game planning, in my opinion. But Chargers still remain floppers. That's my bold prediction.
Wow. Okay. 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 I like it.
Let's
I
let's
like it.
let's flip the page to the other side of the league. That is the NFC. NFC East. Give me some on Dallas.
Dallas Cowboys will have a top 5 rushing attack with Tony Pollard and the kid out of Kansas State, Deuce Vaughn,
Yes.
the ghost.
Yes. I'm hearing good things about Deuce Vaughn already, and watching him, watching games last year and even the year before that, he's so small, but man, the kid reminds me of like the Darren Sproles pop. It's there. He's a
Yeah.
weapon. Hopefully, Dallas can find the proper way to utilize him and balance him in with Tony Pollard, and hopefully Tony Pollard comes back strong off the injury from last year. It was a little late in the season. I'm not sure on the timetable with his return, but McCarthy already came out and said, hey, look, I want to run the ball more. I'm calling the plays. So I don't think, it's been Dallas's bread and butter. And that's what, we talk about balance with offenses all the time and that you need that. I think no other quarterback than Dak Prescott needs that type of balance. I think that's where he operates at his best as well. So yeah, I agree. And that kind of plays on to mine, which is Dallas makes the Super Bowl for the first time since the 90s. It's been, year after year, kind of similar to the Chargers. I guess I could say that in the same breath, with expectations being very high for them,
Very high.
and where the bar ends up meeting has been consistently under it.
Dallas
But I
is
look at the whole NFC, and I really can't make a great case for anybody else in the NFC either. So this is my bold take on the Cowboys. Um,
Dallas is allergic to success.
It feels like it. It feels like they caught something in the 90s while they were partying, and it's still there. They didn't go get it checked out. It's just something that's just lingering.
Right.
The New York Giants,
Everyone,
beautiful story last season.
hell yeah, man, definitely. Congrats to the Giants and all their success last season. Everyone believes that it'll be Darren Waller to change the dynamic landscape of the passing attack for the New York Giants, but in the end of it all, it'll merge as Jalen Hyatt, third round draft pick out of Tennessee. The kid's
Love
going to have an incredible season this year. And it's not because I don't think Darren Waller's a quality player or good or even capable. It's none of those things. I believe he's very capable. I believe he's a stud. I believe all those things. He's an elite receiver at tight end. But I just think the proper thing to do, him coming off a injury riddled campaign with the Raiders, he's 31 years old. I think the right thing for the New York Giants to do is to use him situationally on third downs and on passing downs only. Don't have him in there blocking so he can get rolled up on or even get injured, on run plays or anything like that. And because of that, I just think that Jalen Hyatt will end up being overall the leading receiver for the New York Giants.
I love Jalen Hyatt. I think that what you say is very true. I think it might take some coming along with just the way the Giants are probably going to try to change up the offense a little bit. And just a rookie wide receiver, it's usually a little bit later in the year. Jamar Chase kind of spoiled us with just popping right away. Um, but we've seen Christian Watson pop off once he got acclimated to the offense second half of the season. So I think what you said is spot on. Um, I'll take it a step further, and I'm going to say you people better have him rostered um, come playoff time in your fantasy football leagues because I think he's definitely going to be eaten towards the end of the year. So I like that a lot. I do got a quick question for you though.
Yeah.
Being the Giants fan that you are,
Yes,
I
sir.
remember talking to you about Saquon Barkley last year, and I was like, dude, what's a successful season for Saquon Barkley? And you were pretty tempered in your expectations. I was a little bit higher. I felt like he could have a really good bounce back year. This year, I'm gonna pose kind of the same kind of little quick question to you. What is successful for Daniel Jones coming off of last year? What kind of yardage do you expect? Those kind of situations because he was good last year. He didn't turn the ball over, but that the scoring was still an issue for you guys. You were in a lot of tight scoring, low scoring games.
Yeah, I mean he didn't have a lot of touchdowns. 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 3,200 yards. Yeah, I would like to see at least a 4,000 yard campaign. I'd like to see, and keep that rating up, that percentage up. Above 50. Rating was 92.5. That's pretty damn good for the season. I think that he needs, for his
Absolutely.
career, he's 80. He's 86.5 for his career. I think that, if he ends up doing that, then we make the playoffs, because the defense is going to come along. You got a lot of guys that are coming off injuries that are potentially going to be able to come in and be contributors because they already been there for a whole season and reading the book. They know the deal. Now it's just let's go through
Sure,
the
sure.
motions and sharpen up. And then on the offense, you still got some guys coming back now. And, we're talking about Hyatt. We're talking about Darren Waller coming from the Raiders in a trade, getting rid of Kadarius Toney, which ends up going to the Kansas City Chiefs, and it works out. But you got Isaiah Hodges on the New York Giants who had a
How
decent
long's
season.
it been? How long's it been since anybody has even whispered a breath about a Giants skill position guy at wide receiver or receiving threat? It's been since Odell Beckham. It's been a drought, but you're right. You got reason to be excited with the
Yep,
with the additions that they've made. So yeah,
no doubt.
Daniel Jones definitely needs to take a step forward, and I agree with making the playoffs. If he can get to the 4,000, if he can keep those turnovers down, and he can get to the 25-28 as far as touchdown passes go,
Yes, sir.
I think you do make the playoffs. My bold prediction for him, though, a little bit of a damper on the party, though. Giants don't make the playoffs this year. I think the schedule is going to hurt the whole NFC East. They were blessed with a very generous schedule last year, and I think that helped. Now, I don't think the Giants are going to fall back by any means, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them again in the playoffs. And if they make it there, under Daboll, dangerous, dangerous team, whoever they would face. But I think there's going to be some bumps and bruises. I don't like what's going on with Saquon Barkley here in the offseason with him not getting a contract, not being very happy about the franchise tag. I don't think it's going to verbally show, but I think it's going to be in the back of the minds of many, not only players that are in that locker room, but him too, and the coaching staff, because everybody's aware of the elephant in the room with that situation. And we all know how short running back careers can be. I didn't like that the Giants didn't get him signed longer, and I'm not going to get into any details and stuff like that. I'm not privy to a whole bunch of that information, but I do think that that's a chink in the armor, and it is going to take Daniel Jones very much stepping forward off of last year in order for them to go back. So I like that you said that. Next team, the Super Bowl runner-ups last year, Philadelphia Eagles. What you got for me there?
Philadelphia wins the division 2 seasons in a row.
Okay. Which is not, somebody might say that, oh, that's not really a bold prediction,
Oh
but
yeah, it is.
the history of the East has kind of been rotational. It's been, it was Dallas previous to that. It was Washington one year, so this division has kind of interchanged. So to have consistency at the top, that is a bold prediction. I don't think it's going to be that way. I think the Eagles missed the playoffs. 69% of the Super Bowl losers the following season do make the playoffs. 31% don't. And if you think about it, if that team was that good to make the Super Bowl, you say, well, it's only 31%. That's not a big number. It really is a big number if you think about it. If that's overall, you don't even make it back to the playoffs. That's not back to the Super Bowl. So the percentages, it's tough. The schedule is going to be tougher, and I don't like some of the moves that they made in the offseason. I know everybody was really hype over the draft. In future shows, I think me and Eddie are going to talk on a little bit more about how we feel about all the teams with the draft picks and stuff like that. But that's my hot take for the Eagles. They don't make the playoffs.
Let's go.
Rounding out the bottom, and I'm sorry, Nick. I know you listen to this. I'm sorry.
Shout
If
out
you were
Nick. Shout
here,
out Brady.
I know you'd be losing your mind, but sorry.
Shout out Nick. Shout out
Um,
Brady.
Washington Commanders. Give me something
Sam
juicy.
Howell ends up starting and winning the position, starting quarterback over the newly acquired Jacoby Brissett.
What does that equal? What does that equal for Washington? Just real quick. What do you think that translates into? Are you high on Howell?
They are going to be last in the division. They are going to lose outright for 2 seasons in a row.
Not a good thing. That's pretty bold too. Because again, Washington record wise has been right in the mix. I mean, and many people, including myself, kind of shake their head like, how are they doing this? But they have been. I'm not going to say you're wrong, dude. I'm not going to say you're wrong. But there's so much talent on Washington. I like so many of their skilled players, but I got to agree with you. I don't think Sam Howell is going to shake out being the answer. I think we all know Jacoby Brissett is not the answer. Very good backup quarterback, not to diminish him in any way, but not a starter, not a guy that I see leading a team to a playoffs. Mine for the Commanders is a little deep. Probably going to be bold though, because there was a lot of kudos and a lot of goodwill for Robinson, the running back last year, taking over the starting gig from Gibson. I think it's going to be another rookie that's going to come in here this year. It's going to be Chris Rodriguez, former Kentucky Wildcat. He was banged up last year. The previous season to that, he's a do-it-all guy. Can catch the ball, runs hard, and can flash some speed too. So I think he takes over the reins at the running back position by the end of the year. Another guy that is going to be a fantasy stash come later in the league year. But yeah, that's about all I could come up with on the Commanders. I agree with your take wholeheartedly. I could have gone there because I feel the same way about that. But that's what I got. NFC North, the Bears. Give it to me.
Chicago Bears. Justin Fields has a Pro Bowl season this year for the Chicago Bears. They're dual threat.
I'm going to one up you. And I'm going to say he's in the MVP conversation. I think he's going to have a Jalen Hurts type of year this year, and I think the Bears could make the playoffs. I don't think they're a go far in the playoffs because I think that's a lot that you're meshing together. But that's how high I am on Justin Fields. I think they got the potential to win 9, 10 games. I think in the NFC, that's good enough to put you in the conversation. And it's going to be on the back of Justin Fields. Even with all the weapons that they added, it's going to be because Justin Fields is going to be that good. So I agree with you. I'm surprised because most of the time I take the flack on Justin Fields, but turning some heads there. Next, another darling in the North, Detroit Lions. It's hard not to like them. It's hard not to like them.
Big shout out to Detroit. My bold prediction is not a player prediction. It's a team prediction. The Detroit Lions will win the division, and they'll make the playoffs.
I like it. That's not something that's happened in my memory, and it goes back pretty. It goes back pretty far. I want to say when I was a kid, the Lions did win the division at some point in
With
time.
Barry
Green Bay was
Sanders.
kind of in flux. It was a long time. Yeah, it was Brett Perryman catching passes from Scott Mitchell. I want to say maybe they were just in the playoffs, but even that is a feat. So it's a long time ago. I'm old. Uh, that's how long it's been for Detroit. So I hope what you say comes true. I got them as a division winner as well. That's part of my bold prediction. My final say on it is defensive player of the year is going to be Jack Campbell, the linebacker out of
Yes,
Iowa.
Iowa. Let's
I,
go.
I think that kid reminds me a lot of Brian Urlacher with the size, the range, the tenacity. We know Iowa products are always tough kids.
Yeah,
I
let's
mean,
go.
wherever you want to search along that, and that's my rookie of the year, Jack Campbell.
Defense. Let's go.
Next, Green Bay Packers.
The Green Bay
Give me some on Green
Packers.
Bay.
Yeah,
The love era has begun.
the Green Bay Packers signed DeAndre Hopkins.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. That'd be a finesse move. That would be a finesse move. And the fact that they weren't able to get him for Aaron Rodgers, it's almost like you're just rubbing it in their face. Um, I like it. I like it. I don't know if that's not where I personally want to see DeAndre Hopkins go,
Me
but I'm
neither,
not
but they
mad
need
about it.
one. They
They
need it.
do.
I
They,
mean, because
they
outside
need
of
it.
Watkins, what do you got?
Christian Watson is a stud.
Watson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. He's not my number one guy. Just because of the health factor. I think the health factor kind of scares me, and just the fact that he's a slight guy. He's tall, but he's
He's
slight.
6'5".
So I'm not ready to crown him my number one in Green Bay. So it feels like they got twos and threes there. You give Jordan Love, DeAndre Hopkins, I think that would go far in his development. So I don't think it's a bad move at all for the Packers to at least attempt to do that. I don't think it's the best move for DeAndre, but great move for the Packers. So I like it. The Packers, this was really hard for me. It's really hard for me, but I think Jordan Love does enough to get people off his back and get behind him firmly as the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. They've been so spoiled over the years with your Brett Favre's and your Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that Jordan Love is set all the way up until his, uh, what is it called, where they flex
Accessor.
the figure option or whatever.
The accessor.
He's been sitting there. He's been sitting on the shelf. It's time to break him open. I think he's going to do well enough this year that he will be the Green Bay quarterback for the coming years. I'm not expecting huge things out of him, but I think he's going to keep the Packers competitive this season, and they're not going to be a hard watch. He's not going to be a hard watch. He's going to find a way to build the chemistry with the young receiving core over there, and I like his chances to be successful down the road. So that's my bold prediction. I don't know if that's really bold, but I know he's caught a lot of heat in the offseason, and I'm sure a lot of true Packer fans are like, man, I want to see what this kid's got, but it's tough to just shift from Aaron Rodgers and shift possible Super Bowl aspirations down to what are we going to have. So we'll see how it goes. Minnesota Vikings, surprise last year, and maybe not for a lot of people, but making the playoffs, winning the division, that's a big deal.
Jordan Addison is the leading receiver on the Minnesota Vikings. And you're like, Eddie, what are you friggin' nuts, bro? They literally just
You
picked
are
up
trigger
TJ
happy
Hawkinson.
on the rookie wideout.
They literally just picked up T.J. Hawkinson, and they literally have Justin Jefferson. What are you doing? What are you doing? Well, we've seen DeMar get doubled and get shut down, and then there's corners who single-handedly have shut Jamar Jefferson down. And I mean, Dory Jackson did it in the playoffs. I mean, he barely had double
He's got
digit.
the opening, no Adam Thielen anymore, too.
So now you got this guy coming in the slot, flexing, who can get it, just outright get it. And he's out here like a ballerina out here, the way he can run these routes. Like, he's just so smooth with it and fluid. I think Addison can definitely end up leading this team in receiving yards.
My bullpen, and I'm not mad at that. I like Addison a lot. I didn't like him as much last year at USC. I loved everything he did with Pickett in Pittsburgh the previous season. But yeah, extremely good talent. Polished route runner. He's gonna fit in very nicely in Adam Thielen's former position. So I don't think they're gonna miss a beat there. So I'm not mad at that at all. It's hard for me to wrap my head around getting over Justin Jefferson's numbers and him being the leader, but I can see it possible.
That's what
Um,
makes it bold, bold, bold.
me for the Vikings, it's kind of twofold. I think, and I really don't see how it's possible, but Minnesota's defense going to be one of the worst in the league this year. They were bad last year, and for the life of me, it doesn't seem like they addressed many needs at all on that side of the ball. And I think because of that, I think they're going to miss the playoffs this year. They were in so many one-score games last year, coming out on top, coming out on the plus end of it, but against contending teams that ended up making the playoffs, they were flat out run out the gate, including a loss in the playoffs at home to the New York Giants. I just don't think they fixed what they needed to fix there in Minnesota, and I think they're going to slip off the map. That brings us to the NFC South and the Atlanta Falcons. Very busy offseason moves. What you
Robinson,
what you what you feeling there?
Robinson wins Rookie of the Season. Offensive,
Bijan, Rookie of the
yeah,
Year.
Rookie of the Year he wins.
The talent's there, and I think he's going to have the opportunity. So I ain't mad at that at all.
Dual threat,
But
catching, running.
very much. Talk about a smooth guy running the ball. This kid is very nice, and he makes it look very easy with his change of direction. I think he's going to be awesome, complementary with Cordero Patterson there. I think they're going to figure out the right ways to use him. I think Desmond Ritter is going to be good at quarterback for them, and I think Atlanta makes the playoffs. I don't know if I'm quite ready to crown them as division winners, but I think they take a step forward, and I think they make the playoffs. Um, Carolina Panthers.
Carolina
What you
Panthers
seeing there?
finished last in their division.
Ouch.
They finished last in the South. That's my prediction. We getting bold, baby. We out here getting bold. We out here getting bold.
I'm gonna take us a step further, and they are the second worst team in the NFL.
Woo.
I think it's gonna be tough. Look at the pieces you're talking about. You draft Bryce, you bring over Frank Wright as the coach. You let DJ Moore and McCaffrey go. I like that young defense, but they can only hold up so much water.
They're
I don't
rebuilding.
mind. I don't mind bringing in Shark and Adam Thielen. Those are good veteran wide receivers, but nothing that pops off the chart for me. And I just think they're going to struggle. They let Foreman walk, who Foreman was a beast for them last year
Leading
at
rusher.
running back. Yeah, and I just don't know what Carolina's doing. Last year I felt like there was so much potential coming into the season for them, and I was completely wrong. I am wrong quite a bit. One of the things I was wrong about was how good they were going to be, and it's tough for me to wrap my head around them being competitive this season. They should have an easier schedule, though. I think that division has the easiest schedule this year out of the NFL. So on paper, maybe they can be a little bit more successful, but I think Young's going to struggle. I worry about him making it through a full season, and we'll see how it goes. New Orleans Saints,
New
new
Orleans
quarterback,
Saints win the
sheriff
division
in town.
and make the playoffs.
That's mine too. I got them winning the division too. It's kind of a grab bag in that division. You just kind of reach in there and see what you pull out, and it's the Saints, and that wouldn't surprise me because they're always going to be solid. Even after Sean Payton left, Dennis Allen has them solid, and I like a lot of the pieces they got there. Olave was even more impressive than what I thought it was going to be last year. If you finally do have a Michael Thomas sighting, which they kept him around again, so they must have some kind of faith in him. If he can get on the field those first couple of games early in the season, he looked like the Michael
Absolutely.
Smith or Michael Thomas of old. So you got those two guys. You found a speedy slot guy in Rashid. Um, and then what happens with Kamara, you don't know. That's a tough situation there. But if he's on the field too, that defense is going to be a lunch pail defense. Still a lot of talent there. So yeah, I think they can win the South. Um, that brings us to the former champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where do they go? Where do they go?
Sean Tucker out of Syracuse leads the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in rushing yards.
Did they sign Tucker? I liked him a lot. He was a rookie free agent signer, wasn't he? They
I
didn't
think so.
draft him, I don't think.
I think so.
I like Tucker. I'm not mad at that at all. I like that bold prediction. I think for me, the and it might not be a bold prediction, but I think there's major changes after this season. I think coach, quarterback, and total direction for the Buccaneers. I think this is going to be a very tough season for them to navigate. I think there's going to be times where they're going to feel, okay about Baker Mayfield, but to me, there's a ceiling for Baker, and there always has been. And me and you have talked about it for a long time, even before he got drafted. And I think he got shined up last year with the Rams, and that's why he got this gig over here to start. In Tampa Bay, obviously, with Brady retiring, we're in a pickle of a situation. Do we try to move up and draft a quarterback and furnish the house for it, or do we kind of sit back? I was surprised they didn't take at least a shot at the Tennessee kid late in the first, early in the second, but they didn't. Um, they're going in with Baker, they're going in with Trask, and I think it's going to be tough for the Bucks. It was tough for the Bucks last year, and you had Tom Brady. I think it's going to be way tougher for the Bucks, and I think that's going to cost the coach's job. And I think ultimately, Baker, this is his last hurrah as a starting quarterback, barring some injury that he fills in for somebody. Um, Moving forward to the last division, that's the NFC West, which has been the representative in the Super Bowl for the NFC for the past couple of years.
Interesting.
First team we'll start off with is the Arizona Cardinals.
Arizona Cardinals. BJ Ojolari, outside linebacker, leads the team in sacks.
There's a lot of young talent on the Cardinals defense, and there's a lot of talent on the offense too. They're a head scratcher. For me, I don't mind the BJ Ojolari at all. That's a kid that's a freaky, long, get after the passer. I think he needs to put on a little bit more strength here in the OTAs and the off season. But I like Ojolari moving forward, so I'm not mad at that at all. Um, for me, the Cardinals are going to be. I'm not going to take it as far as Seattle went last year and making the playoffs, but they're going to be a Seattle Seahawks team to me this year. I think all the young talent there, I think, is going to play well. I think ultimately they're going to give everybody a run for their money, and they're going to be better than what people expect. The big question mark for me is how is Kyler Murray going to play in a different style offense? Um, and that's going to be the big indicator for me on how well they actually do this season. But I think they're going to play surprisingly well, and they're not going to be the worst team in the league, which a lot of people, I'm hearing a lot of that. Um, Talk to me about the LA Rams.
They
Give me some
finished
juice.
third in the division. They added 13 draft picks to
Mm-hmm.
the roster. I mean, they added a lot of talent, but I think they're going to finish last. I don't think that this draft class is going to be the class to lift them up out of the doom and gloom. They finished last. They finished fourth. Last season they finished third.
That's a really good take. That's a really good take. I didn't see that one coming, and I don't. I've seen articles floating around, reading through CBS and ESPN about them possibly being a dark horse to make the playoffs and turn it around. I gotta agree with your side, and I think ultimately, I think this might be Matthew Stafford's last season, so that's kind of partial to my bold take. I think Stetson Bennett takes the reins somewhere during the season, and I think he's able to hold on to the job. I liked a lot of what I saw from him. I didn't like the offseason stuff, but at Georgia, the kid's a winner, and he's got an attitude about him that I really don't care for. But he's a smart player, and I think he's a perfect fit with Sean McVay. And if Sean McVay can shine up Baker Mayfield like he did last year, I think he can shine up Stetson Bennett to uh, to a level to where he can take over the reins. There's been some good vibes coming out of OTAs about him that I've read and seen on TV as well. So that's my bold take for it. Matt Stafford's last ride.
So,
That wraps it up, man. That's the whole rundown of the NFL. That's the show.
and we
That's the
got San
show today.
Francisco and Seattle.
Oh yeah.
We
San
didn't
Fran.
we didn't do San
I
Francisco.
had to
We didn't
wrap it
do
up, huh?
Seattle. We did.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Give me
did.
Niners.
Yeah, the Niners. Brock Purdy starts week 1. Week
Whew.
1. That's
Mine's
probably my
mine's
hottest
different.
take of all the takes. Like I would say that
Mine's
that's my boldest because this is an injury that just like there's no way, dude. He's coming back from that. Week
mine's
1.
mine's contrary to yours, which is the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers this season is going to be Sam Darnold. I
Woo!
think they're going to shine up Sam Darnold, and I think they're going to get what they want out of Sam Darnold. Not to
Let's
say
go.
Purdy's not in the
I like
mix,
it. I like it.
not to say Trey Lance isn't in the mix, but I mean, to me, that's what the Niners do. And it really doesn't matter who the quarterback is for them. They continue to win, and they do it in so many other ways. And I think Sam Darnold, that's my bold take. Sam Darnold takes the reins, and he finally finds a footing in the NFL with San Francisco. That brings us to the last one for
Yes,
real this
sir.
time. Seattle Seahawks.
Big shout out to my boy Henry. Yeah, we getting bold with it, and I'm gonna say Seattle wins the division because the quarterback situation with San Francisco just isn't gonna be good enough soon enough. Seattle
Okay.
wins it. Arizona's still bumming, and Los Angeles is just fighting Arizona to see who's the bummiest.
For me, it's the same bold take. It's probably not so bold given how they finished up last year, but I got them winning the division too. We
Oh,
haven't we haven't aligned on too much in this show, which is good. Uh, but yeah, that one for me, I got them winning the division as well. I don't know come playoff time how far or if they can take a step further than the wild card round. That's going to kind of see how this plays out and how the young talent they're infusing in the team continues to grow and step forward. But I saw enough from them last year to know that there is a lot of talent there. And you're right. You said it right on the head with San Francisco. The quarterback situation is murky, and you can look at that from our bold takes, taking two different guys. So I mean, I think ultimately they'll make the playoffs and they'll figure it out because it's kind of what they do. That's Shanahan's MO. But yeah, the consistent team is Seattle Seahawks. I like it. And that is the show.
let's go!
Thank y'all for listening to us. We
Hell
will
yeah!
be back
Yes, we
with
will.
some more verbiage, some more takes, some more. You need to do this.
You need to do it
Please
now.
give us your feedback. Please give us your feedback. We're gonna be talking OTAs. We're gonna be talking. We'll start to dig into the rosters and shakeouts. We'll talk about the rookies. We'll have some predictions on individual accolades coming up over the summer. So definitely stay tuned to us. Definitely throw out things that you would like to hear from us. And as always, give us a little like, give us a dislike if you want to verbally, just anything. Conversate with us. We love talking back and forth to y'all, whether it turns into a long winded conversation sometimes or not. We appreciate y'all. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so
It's a
much, man.
wrap.
Come back and see us.